During the next 10 minutes, you're invited to visit the refreshment stand, where you'll be greeted with fast, friendly service. You'll find hot dogs, juicy hamburgers, and mouth-watering delicious pizza. There are refreshing hot and cold beverages, ice-cold cola, and orange drink. Goes great with an order of crispy French fries. Then there's a wide selection of your favorite candies and other delicious snacks. And there's always a fresh batch of hot buttered popcorn to go with the rest of the show. So visit the refreshment stand now during this 10-minute intermission and add to your enjoyment of the movie. We're happy to have you with us tonight and hope you'll come back often. At the sound of the tone, it will be just 5 minutes to showtime. There's still plenty of time to visit the refreshment stand. When you hear the tone, it will be just 3 minutes to showtime. Still time to visit the refreshment stand before the next feature starts. There's just 1 minute to showtime. After the next feature begins, the refreshment stand will continue to serve you. It will remain open, so there's still time to add to the fun of enjoying the movie. When the show is over, please remember to place the speaker back on its stand. If the speaker is accidentally broken, please let someone at the refreshment stand know about it. We appreciate your coming out to the drive-in tonight. When you leave, please drive carefully. We hope you'll come back again soon. And now, showtime.
We come to this place for magic. We come to AMC theaters to laugh, to cry, to care. Because we need that, all of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the lights begin to dim. And we go somewhere.
Damn, did I just
we've
get
never been
goosebumps? I don't
before.
even like this movie.
Not
I
just
think I'm swooning over Val
but
Kilmer.
somehow reborn
She looks stupid.
together.
Weren't we supposed to be like
Dazzling
criticizing
images on a
films
huge
instead of being
silver screen.
perverts?
Look at
The sound
LA.
that I can
Oh my god. This movie's good.
Oh, look at that. It's that
Heartbreak
move.
feels good. Our
I
heroes
agree.
feel like the best of us.
Oh, you started barking.
Yeah! Oink, oink, oink!
He should turn himself in.
Hello, 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 hello. It's been a while. I didn't have anything Spider-Man related that I wanted to wear, so I was like, what do I have that's red and blue? That's sort of the inspo for the bandana. God, what a day. It's so hot outside. It's terrible, and I hate it. Can't wait for the winter time. But what we're going to do, we're going to start before we even talk about Spider-Man. We're going to play a game. Okay? We're going to play a game. I've been jerking you guys around for the last, I don't know, 15 minutes. What's another couple of minutes? So, we're going to play Framed. If you don't know what Framed is, it is basically like Wordle, but you got to figure out what the movie is based on the frame that you're looking at right here. And I honestly don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. What am I looking at? What is this? I don't know. I don't know. You know what? We're just gonna put in something and see what happens. Let's put in something completely out of left field that it's definitely not. Nope. Not Bad Boys for Life. We're doing the real one. Bad Boys 2. Okay. This doesn't help me either. Am I getting cooked? Am I getting cooked? I was spitting knowledge last stream. I was doing the most. And now I'm looking like I've never seen a movie before. This is also very confusing. Is this a James Bond movie? Wait. Okay. Am I cooked? Okay. I don't know who this is. This is offensive to me. What are we doing? It looks old. Waterworld? We're guessing at this point. I'm kind of nervous. Now, if I've seen this movie, this would be the moment where I'm like, oh, it's that. But I feel what this is. Hotel Rwanda? You think so? Let's give it a shot. It's not Hotel Rwanda, but... Okay, that's Dustin Hoffman, I'm pretty sure. I usually get these so fast. I think it's so funny that today is the day that I decide to play. I haven't played this in months. What the fuck am I looking? Let's go National Treasure. It's not it, but I'm hoping to see one. Oh! Is this The Great Escape? This is embarrassing. Right? Is that what it's called? No? Is it not The Great Escape? I know that's Steve McQueen. Oh, no. Ooh. This is gonna piss me off. Why is The Great Escape not here? Is this not The Great Escape? Am I... fuck it. It's not Escape Out from Alcatraz because that's a Clint Eastwood. But we're gonna try it anyway. Oh. Brother, I was never gonna get that. It's fine. It's totally fine. We start off on a bad note. We'll recover. Anyway. Holy shit. We got a Spider-Man movie. And it's been a while, honestly. It's been... Some might say it's been too long. But I've got thoughts. I've been thinking a lot about this movie, and it's been hard to like really think about this movie because I'm still thinking about The Odyssey. I just rewatched it last night, and I was like, you know what? I've seen it twice. Why not see it a third time? Why not show it to somebody? So I was like, hey nephew, let's go watch it. He was like, I don't even know what that is. You know, he's Gen Z. So I took him to go see The Odyssey in 70mm, and I've had good crowds for this movie. The two times that I had seen this, and those were within like the first like week of me seeing the film. So we're now in like the third week of release, and usually around this time is when like all the casual people go to see movies. They're like, yeah, I'll go watch it, you know? I'll go watch it. But Um, that's exactly what I ran into. I had a whole row of people to my back left on the side that my nephew was sitting, where people were just yapping. Just yapping. And if you've seen The Odyssey, you know that the first 30 minutes of that movie is straight up yapping. It's a bunch of setup, so much going on. There's so many things to know, like old ass names and laws and a bunch of like the power dynamics, everything, right? And you just hear these chuds yapping, just talking incessantly. And I thankfully I had seen the movie before. So I pulled a Karen and I went outside and I talked to the employees. I was like, "Yo, this is unacceptable. Somebody please help me." And there were people who were like around me who were just looking at them and got up and moved to different rows. I'm like, "You still can't, you're in the same room. Like you can't escape these people no matter what. It doesn't matter." So I went out twice and I had to get it done. And eventually they got kicked out. Well, one of them got kicked out, and that was pretty much a message to the rest of them, so they kind of shut up for the rest of it. And yeah, still a great time. The Odyssey is so good that even when people are being assholes behind you, it's still incredible. My nephew was like, one of the best movies I've ever seen. And he also prefaced it by saying, I like Spider-Man more, but The Odyssey's a better movie. I don't know what that means, but I'm happy for him. So, Spider-Man, there's a lot to talk about, and I don't really know how to start, because I would love to do the thing that I do where I preface, I'd like to give the whole backstory of everything. That's usually how I do these reviews, or any of the reviews that we've done on the channel. But like if I talk about the home movies, like the home trilogy, I feel like I'm spoiling the tier list / ranking later. And I think I'm just going to talk about like the other stuff, like the director that had nothing to do with the home trilogy. Destin Daniel Cretton, some of you may know him, some of you may love him, some of you may not know who he is at all. But Destin Daniel Cretton is a wonderful filmmaker. You guys may have seen Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think that's what it's called. That movie came out 5 years ago. And it kind of like went in one ear and out the other for me. I liked it, but like the third act was horrific. I did not like it. But he's made other movies. Just Mercy, a film that is spiritually close to Dead Man Walking, about the death penalty, and it stars Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, and Brie Larson. Pretty good movie. Made me sob. Good performance from Jamie Foxx. Good performance from Michael B. Jordan. Brie Larson, pretty good in it too, except for the scenes where she's smoking a cigarette, because you can tell that no one who was around for that day smoked cigarettes, because she was doing the, she'd even inhale. It did not look good. And he's done other work. I think he did Short Term 12, which also had Brie Larson in it. And I had only seen that movie once, but it made a really big impression on me. So anytime he came out with the movie after that, I was like, that's the guy who made me cry a lot. I'm going to watch it. And after Shang-Chi, and I found out that he was going to do Avengers Kang Dynasty. Remember the Kang Dynasty? Remember Jonathan Majors? That was... that didn't seem right to me. I felt like he was such a very intimate filmmaker to be getting such a story or a film that is like that massive. It just didn't seem right to me. Thank God he was like, I don't have a way in on this. I don't think I should make this movie. So they threw Spider-Man Brand New Day at him, and thank God. Because if John Watts directed one of these movies again, I don't think I would have gone to see it. I don't think I would have cared. Um, I, that might be hyperbole. I would have seen it, but not opening weekend. Fuck that. Not for movies that are that ugly. I guess I spoiled the way I feel about the Home trilogy. It's fine. But I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I think I just want to talk about like the characters mostly because that's where this movie shines the most. And to go beat by beat is sort of like, well, this moment was cool and that moment was cool, and I think this film is so married to the characters that like more than the spectacle, that like it's hard not to just like focus on that. And that I think was a good choice because like I think everyone kind of got tired of Spider-Man being in places that he shouldn't be in yet. If that makes sense. Like whether it's like him being so close to like the Avengers, or getting all the tech from Tony Stark, or like not having the real life consequences of being Spider-Man in these movies. I think that's like the biggest disconnect, because like up until now he's just been like kind of having fun, even though like he faces a lot of adversity in these movies. At the end of the day, he's only dealing with Spider-Man, and we're not dealing with Peter Parker, the person. Not my biggest, it could be my biggest. Depends on how I'm feeling or what has been mentioned recently. But my biggest gripe with the Home trilogy is that I feel that Aunt May was wasted as a character. When Marissa Tomei was cast, I was so excited because she's an incredible actor, right? You got My Cousin Vinny, is a classic, right? But also she's incredible in The Wrestler. She's incredible in so many movies. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead with Philip Seymour Hoffman, she has an incredible scene with him in a car that if your algorithm is like film related and you're just scrolling, you've definitely seen the scene where Philip Seymour Hoffman is crashing out in the car about his dad. And she's incredible in that. So like I was very, very excited for the possibilities of like her character. Especially because at that point it was 2016, everyone was all in on Marvel. The characterization was still like important. There wasn't a whole lot of inconsistencies. Sure, with some films, they didn't exactly stick the landing, even at that point, like, you know, the Thor movies or Avengers Avengers Age of Ultron, right? Or another one. What was another miss from that time? The Incredible Hulk. We're gonna stay with Avengers: Age of Ultron because that was a big no-no. But like the characterization was still there. There were like beats and moments, and it felt still consistent, even if like the whole wasn't that great. So that at least with having like great actors and you know, a refocusing of Spider-Man, because I think a lot of people were also turned off by the Amazing movies. Which weren't amazing, and the Sony leaks in 2014 that really showed how entrenched the studio was in those movies to try to make it hip and cool and compete with the Avengers and you know, but that was ultimately a self-fulfilling prophecy. It never worked. Oftentimes when you're trying to be cool, it ends up not being cool. That's just a rule of thumb. So when I ended up seeing these movies, like, I kept revisiting them. I didn't feel the way I should have felt. And there are a lot of people who love those movies, and it's not, you know, more power to you. If you love the home movies, I'm happy. Good for you, bro. That's not me. So, no John Watts, new director, a proven, really good director, especially with actors, and Tom Holland just coming off of The Odyssey and coming into this with a new like vision of what his Spider-Man should be or how it should be made, right? As far as Peter Parker goes, I am so fucking happy. It's a meme, right? But he's suffering. He's having a terrible time. I'm having a great time watching him have a terrible time. I'm like, he's just like me for real. Living by himself in New York City, trying to make it happen. It's like, it is so relatable, I think, for everybody. You don't have to just live in New York City, but this does feel like a very New York City movie, even if a lot of it was shot in England, but they did their best to make sure that all the cultural and visual touchstones were in there. But Peter Parker himself is exactly what I think he should be in these movies at this point. I think some of the best stories that I've read that are about Spider-Man or that I've watched the movies or played in the games, the best ones are the ones that are just as much about Peter Parker as they are about Spider-Man. And here, like, there is the obvious, like, Peter Parker subplot with him trying to approach not Mary Jane, I was going to say Mary Jane, Michelle Jones, MJ, and Ned. And the other Spider-Man thing is trying to figure out who's possessing all these people and trying to get into the, what is it called? Damage Control? Department of Damage Control? I feel like the way that his character was developed throughout this film was uncharacteristically great for the MCU because, oh my God, we have been suffering outside of Thunderbolts because, like, what have we gotten recently? Captain America 4, not great. Ant-Man 3, not great. Eternals, not great. Just like a couple of projects, and then they've been leaning on TV and like streaming, and no one cares about that. Like, for as accessible and as easy to watch as streaming is, especially with TV, it seems as though like it's way harder to jump into the zeitgeist with a streaming show than it is to like have just a really good movie come out, because there's just so many shows and everyone's just watching TV, and it just takes a lot to like break through. Whereas you always know what's coming out in terms of movies. Like, there's always something. Like, Obsession would not have broken the ground that it did if it came out on Netflix, you know? Like, it just would not. Like, Obsession and Backrooms, or even Weapons from last year, or Sinners even, right? Like, these are all movies that need to be experienced in a movie theater, and the conversation and the experience of watching those movies can only exist in a theater. And, you know, Disney has been trying to catch up with Netflix, as you know, and HBO to have a foothold and a big cut of the market for streaming. And I think they've succeeded in that, but I think it's come at a hit for like literally everything that they do in terms of quality, whether it's Star Wars or Marvel or what's the other shit that they own? I don't even know. They own a lot though. They own a lot. I mean, even like their live action remakes, like Moana is still like one of their most like popular IPs, and they're remaking it as if we needed it. That's not the point. The point is that like those failures are because of they're leaning on streaming, and a movie like Spider-Man would not work in that way. it is a theatrical experience. So where was I going with that? I had an ADD moment. Oh God, I love it when it's live. We're just gonna go back to Peter because that's where I was going. Peter Parker in this is dealing with his isolation. He's dealing with everything that had happened in No Way Home, especially at the end, and he's just trying to make it work. He's leaning on one side of the spectrum. That's where I was going to. The Spider-Man and the Peter Parker of it all, because there's this dichotomy between the character. I mean, it's with like every superhero, whether it's Superman and Clark Kent or Bruce Wayne and Batman, or name one. They all have the same sort of dichotomy, but Peter's is him trying to grow up and like learning how to be an adult and trying to maintain relationships and being poor and all of these things. And so although this film doesn't really touch on the money aspect of his character, you can tell that he's still not like doing well in that regard. He's doing well enough to order from Little Caesars, which is kind of cringe because he's a New Yorker. He should be ordering from like a local pizza spot. That felt a little out of touch for me, which is like a weird inconsistency because like they mention and they show a lot of like random like parts of New York, whether they're Jesus Christ, I'm blanking, but like I just saw this movie. They show all these cultural touchstones. They talk about Bellevue Hospital, all of these different places. Like these are all like New York places, and especially like in the end credit scene, which I'll get to later. Like it's very much trying to show you New York. They ride on, I think, what was the 7 train? There was like there's a scene with Liza Colon-Zayas, and she's talking on the phone with Spider-Man, and her kids are sitting down and she's like standing, and they're above ground, and I'm assuming they're on the 7 train because the train looked clean and it looked new, so it felt like the 7 to me. Local pizza spots, yeah, no, it just doesn't make sense to have a New Yorker ordering from some fast food pizza spot like franchise that's, you know, countrywide. It doesn't make sense to me. It like you know, I've had a Little Caesars in New York, but like not on purpose to the extent that Peter Parker is doing it. So it was weird. But other than that, other than the fact that they don't really touch on the money stuff, other than all those things, like I like the fact that Peter Parker, the person, takes center stage in this because he's doing so unwell in his Spider-Man life that he's being pushed to not ignore being Peter Parker. And I just found that really fascinating because I feel like I feel like even in real life, like whatever your purpose is, like you feel like you are supposed to be pushing for that, right? Like whether you have like a career or you have a hobby or you have whatever the fuck, right? You're trying to pursue that thing, and like you may want to like put your all into it, or just even the grind, like the cultural like thing that we talk about in America of like grinding, and you have to put your head down and you have to just keep going in spite of it all. Like that's bullshit because it hurts you. It hurts you because you're not feeding your soul. You're not feeding the other aspects of your life that make you a complete person, and you don't do well because of that. And Peter Parker suffers from that in this movie. I really enjoyed Tom Holland's performance in this, and I don't want to say like he was better in this than he was in the Odyssey, because I feel like I defended his performance in the Odyssey because everyone's shitting on it. But I feel like it's just because he had more to do in this. He had like his character, Peter Parker has more decisions to make than Telemachus does. It's almost impossible to not like compare the performances because these movies are like 2 weeks apart, right? But I think in whenever you like read the interviews that Tom Holland has done about this film or about the Odyssey, like he talked a lot about how that experience on the Odyssey like informed the way he wanted to do Spider-Man. And I definitely think like as a performer jumping from No Way Home to this, like he has evolved as an actor. And I feel that more because I like watched every Spider-Man movie leading up to this. Because I try not to watch superhero movies as often because like other people make movies, like there's too many movies to watch, you know? But this was like the perfect excuse to like revisit everything. And I feel like Tom is like, you know, he's getting older, so obviously he's getting better as an actor. It's very seldom that like an actor gets worse the older they get, right? But his growth is like very noticeable, I feel. Even in like we could talk about the scene in No Way Home at the end with the coffee cup, right? He goes and sees MJ and she is like, is there anything else? And then there's that long pause on him and he's just like bursting with, hey, do you remember me? Your boyfriend that you don't remember, please remember me. And it sits on him for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. It's so long. But like if you like look at moments like that and then you look at what he does in this film, I feel like there's just a big growth in how he plays certain moments. And it doesn't feel like he's indicating as much, which I found fascinating. But yeah, I really liked the blending of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. I liked the fact that he got to do so many different kinds of like things in this movie. He got to do a lot of serious work when it comes to him longing with Ned and MJ. He got to do a lot of comedic work, whether it was like, his work with John Bernthal, who plays Punisher. Their chemistry is incredible. I mean, they've worked together a ton, but wow. I think Destin Daniel Cretton said that sometimes he would just let the camera roll just to not lose any of the magic that they were making and letting them like live in the scene. And I think it shows in the scene when they're trying to defend damage control from the Hulk and also in the hospital and they're just, going back and forth. It is such a heartwarming like dynamic that those two actors have. And it's kind of unfair to have a movie where like the chemistry is that good. Because I don't know about you guys, chat, but it is so hard to find people who have good chemistry with each other in movies, like rom-coms or even like buddy cop movies. Like the chemistry just feels so forced, and it with Tom Holland and John Bernthal, it just felt so natural. Like they weren't even trying. They were just interacting with each other. There was no thought. It was yes and yes and yes and. It was perfect. Honestly, perfect. I do wish that Punisher wasn't as jokey in this. I wish like he was written, like there were jokes written for his character, but I wish that some of his jokes weren't played for jokes. Kind of like how Parasite is incidentally funny. Like it's a very serious movie that is also very scary at times, and it's a thriller, and it's about very serious things. However, it is really funny, but by accident. There are just things that happen to be funny. And I feel like Punisher should have rode that line a little bit more as a character. But that's just me. I'm sure no one has like really any beef with that. The gang getting back together is probably the best part of the movie. Definitely. I mean, it's set up to be that way because as soon as the movie starts, I mean, the movie starts with the Marvel Studios logo, and Peter Parker's just being erased from every shot, and you see like the lines of dialogue from when he tells Doctor Strange to cast the spell, right? So you're just waiting for the moment when they get back together. That's the whole, like, that's what we've been leading towards in terms of Peter's story. And oh boy, they really fucked with me in this one. I think, okay, so there are two watches. There's two different watches for this movie. There's like the experience of watching this movie for the first time, and then there's the experience of watching this movie for the second time. And one definitely outweighs the other, and it really really changes the way I feel about the movie. Because as I was watching it the first time, I was like, oh God, when is MJ going to show up? Because you already saw Ned in that one scene in the bodega or the coffee shop. It's like I don't even know what, I guess it's a coffee shop. It's one of those like hybrids because it's not like a full-on bodega, right? And you're just like, oh fuck, we're going to see MJ soon. We're going to see MJ soon. We're going to see MJ soon. And well, even before that, because he's watching them on his phone, and that is, oh my God, that was so sad. That was so depressing, because it felt like for the first time in like one of these movies, they kind of like captured the social media experience, because social media is like designed to make you feel bad, and then it's also designed to just keep you there. So watching him just like suffer for literal years, watching Ned grow up without him, move on without him, and seeing MJ incidentally, like, that sucked. That was terrible. That hurt me in such a profound way the first time I saw this movie. And I didn't expect that, because I wasn't so, again, going back to the Home trilogy, like, I wasn't so invested, but this movie does such a good job at following up on what had already been set up. Unlike other franchises, cough, cough, Star Wars, right? Because Force Awakens did something, Last Jedi followed it up, but also did its own thing, and then The Rise of Skywalker was like, yeah, I don't want to, and just did something else for some reason, and didn't want to try to be anything else or follow up on everything that had happened. Insane choices that were made. But this movie follows up on the very real consequences of what happened in the last movie. And I think it makes the movie so much stronger for it, instead of just trying. The movie's called Brand New Day, but it doesn't feel like a reset. Like, it feels like a reset in certain aspects, like Peter Parker starting from ground zero, starting from zero and having to rebuild himself back up or whatever. But everything that had happened stayed with him, and the movie doesn't make you forget it, which I really like. Anyway, so the build up to seeing MJ was incredible. I wish that I didn't know that she had a boyfriend walking into this, but press is gonna press. So I was just waiting for that shoe to drop and what would happen with it. And they don't really do a whole lot with her having a boyfriend, but this movie is so self-contained and so Peter focused that we don't really have time in this 2 hour and 20-minute movie to get into all of that. But they do enough that you kind of understand what the vibe is. And I guess we got to talk about the villain, the antagonist. She's not really a villain, although she does some heinous shit in this movie. Again, okay, if you're watching and you, for some reason, even though I've been talking about the movie, have not seen this movie, I'm going to deliver the biggest spoiler of the movie. So you have 5 seconds to get out of here. I'll wait. The movie's been out for a week. I'm still giving you time. I'm surprised this isn't... Oh, it is going through my green screen. It's just the light that's hitting it, because this is green glass. Okay. So Jean Grey is in this movie. That's insane. I mean, I think we all kind of knew, right? You cast Sadie Sink. She has red hair. They didn't change her hair for this movie. It's a hidden role. They released a shot where she's like in that chair, right? And it was just kind of clear that it was always gonna be Jean Grey. I think there were like theories that she was gonna be like MJ from another universe, or she was gonna be Toby and Kirsten Dunst's kid from the Sam Raimi movies. There were a lot of dumb theories out there, and I didn't really pay attention to them or give them any credence or really think too hard about them, because interest in those kinds of theories got beat out of me 10 years ago when Batman v Superman came out, and then Suicide Squad came out, and people were genuinely trying to push the idea that the Joker, Jared Leto's Joker, wasn't really the Joker, and they thought it was Jason Todd, as like he came back instead of being Red Hood, he was just the Joker, which is so fucking stupid. It was like pure copium. So all of those theories about Sadie Sink's character, I never took seriously. As soon as she was cast in the MCU, it was so clear. So to see her name pop up on the screen and them like actually identifying her, I was like, oh shit. And then like even before that, like watching the movie, like the movie does such a good job at being, again, Peter focused, that you're really not thinking about an antagonist, like a superhero or super powered antagonist that's gonna like make the film more plot focused or whatever, because you're so focused on Peter, you're so focused on him trying to reunite with Ned and MJ, and the real antagonist is what happened in No Way Home. And that's the main obstacle in his life, is the decisions that he's made and living with those consequences and trying to deliver on having, you know, great power and responsibility and, you know, all that shit. So when Jean Grey comes in, there we go. Should I just call her Jean Grey from now on? When Jean Grey comes in, it was just obvious because of the telepathy and all of that stuff. But once she actually gets involved and she starts doing heinous shit, it's really hard to empathize with her, and you really want them to like take her down, because we don't really know why she does what she does, and this film does a pretty good sleight of hand in that regard. Although you kind of like know that it's coming, but it's not as obvious as like, hey, Mysterio is trying to replace Iron Man. Like, why would you try to make us think that Mysterio was a good guy for over half the movie? That was an insane aspect of Far From Home. But Jean Grey, she's trying to find her sister, and we don't really know that until like she had done a bunch of crazy shit, like forcing that guy to get hit by a car, and possessing MJ and not telling Spider-Man that she had done that already, and just playing along with what Peter wants, which is, he says it's unforgivable in the movie, but it is diabolical. Like one of the, like Thanos aside, like one of the most evil things that's happened in this universe so far, because she makes Peter like kiss her as MJ and believe that all of these things had happened and everything was like resolved. Like watching it the second time, there were people around me who had clearly not seen the movie. So when they kissed, there were people around me like, oh my God, it's happening finally. And they were so excited. And then when Zendaya goes, go ahead, Peter, touch her, everyone was like, oh, you son of a bitch. And it was great. Like this movie does a really good job at manipulating the audience. And the first time I saw this movie, I was so upset. I was like, oh, this person is fucking evil, like truly evil. But then when you find out it's Jean Grey, like you have to like sort of like be like, okay, she's definitely not the person that we've been thinking that she is. Like she's obviously not that bad, or it's gonna take some time to get to the core of her. But once we get to like her backstory, that's when I really bought into her. Because I didn't really believe Sadie Sink that much leading up to that. I just saw Max from Stranger Things, unfortunately. It's not that she was giving a bad performance. It's just that it didn't feel like too distinctive from what she had already done. And not in the way that like is acceptable when you're playing a persona. It didn't feel specific enough to that character. And that kind of bugged me. But once she's captured and she's going through all the experiments and stuff, and she's like coming more into her own with her powers, I feel that I bought into who Sadie Sink was trying to be as Jean Grey. It felt more authentic to me, not because she was like yelling and that she was like angry and emoting more. It just I felt like the objective of her character being personified through her. Because before, it just felt very passive and not that interesting. And I get it that like we don't really know why she's doing what she's doing up until that point. However, I think there were moments to add a little seasoning, and I just didn't get that up until that point. But once we get to that point, I'm bought in. I'm all in. I'm there. To be honest, it's a bit of a bummer that her backstory occupies so much of the third act. It kind of stops becoming a Spider-Man movie for a moment. I kind of agree, but I kind of don't, because if it was any other antagonist, all of that time would still have to be spent on that character, right? And I think that if we, like, I'm a part of the team, I didn't make this fucking movie. If someone else was, if it was like maybe Doc Ock again, or like if Scorpion was like actually the big bad, we would still have to spend that time, but they would probably do it in the beginning. But I feel like as a viewer going into this movie, everyone wants to know what's up with Peter. What's the update? How is his life? Where are we going? And I feel like that's more compelling at that moment than spending a bunch of time in the beginning about some character that we don't even know yet. And I feel like the mystery into a reveal, into the backstory, I feel like that was a good enough structure for me that on the first watch, I felt very satisfied by the way that it unraveled, because there were just new things. We were learning new information. I wish that the backstory of her character with her sister was more, not developed, but I feel like I wish it was more interesting. Because, like, what happened was compelling enough that we understand where she's coming from. But on the second watch, going through that, I wasn't as interested. And that kind of goes into one of my main gripes. It turns into Thunderbolts. Low key, yeah, because they're all in, it's all about feelings, and they're all in their head and shit. And Jean Grey is like, trying to move on, and she's trying to just like push it all down. And so is Peter. And they're honestly, what I like about the fact that they did the structure this way is that Peter and Jean come together and they realize who they are at the same time. I found that to be satisfying. My biggest gripe with that aspect, as well as like kind of the rest of the movie, is that visually not what I wished it was. And when I watched it the first time, I really liked looking at the movie, but the second time, I feel like compositionally, the movie is not as interesting as it should be. Because in terms of lighting, in terms of colors, in terms of shadows, it's great. It looks, it has a nice look. Everything is, there's proper exposure. They're usually shooting in like a real location or a real set or whatever, and it looks beautiful, right? I just feel like a lot of the compositions are very samey. There's a lot of medium close-ups. Like, I'll show you. I'll just scoot over, I'll be more centered. A lot of the compositions are just this, like from the middle of the chest up, and it's kind of like that for the whole movie. Whether it's an action scene or even just the dialogue scenes, like a lot of the dialogue scenes don't have a lot of variety to the way that they're shot. And a lot of the visuals are very expressive when there's a lot of CGI. And they had to use like CGI Spider-Man to do certain stunts or to do certain shots, whether it's like when Spider-Man is fighting the Hulk and there's that tunnel shot, not the hallway shot, not the tunnel shot. I was thinking about in Avengers when Hulk is chasing Black Widow, and they kind of do a similar scene as that, but the camera like does like this 360 motion really quickly as Peter's racing down the hallway, and then Hulk does his clap. Like, there are moments like that, or whenever he's fighting the Hand or the damage control guards, and the camera's doing like these quick motions and turning over, and it's interesting when it's like that. But I feel like those action scenes and the dialogue scenes were directed by two different people. And sometimes there is a glimmer of something interesting, like when the Hand beat up Spider-Man and he's sitting there and he's thinking about like the past, he's thinking about MJ, he's thinking about Aunt May dying and all those things, and the camera has like this side profile shot of him and he's bleeding and he takes his mask off. I found like shots like that to be interesting, but a lot of the shots in this film are just like let me try to move my head, like from this angle, and it's just shot reverse shot a lot of the time. There are barely any like interesting master shots or camera movements. There's like a dolly shot when Spider-Man realizes that Tremel Tillman's character lied to him when he's talking to MJ, and she's expressing what it was like to be taken over, like possessed by Jean Grey, and she says that like that it was sort of like she blacked out and she completely forgot everything. When he realizes that, the camera pushes in, and the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is like the only like real camera movement that's going on. There are like some pans, there are some like tracking shots, but it's not like, it's a very stationary film. Like, the visuals are very stationary, and I wish that the film had more variety, like in some of the earlier movies. Even in like the Amazing movies, TASM 1 and 2, like those films have some visual variety to them in terms of like lenses and shots and composition, like all of the above. Like, there is variety. And the second watch of this film, I really, really, really noticed that. Like, it was hard to ignore, because in my first watch, I was just thinking like, this is great. I'm having a ball. I want to know what's next. It was very much, my first watch was very much focused on the story and just enjoying the story, because the film started off so strong that I was just allowed to like, put my shoulders down and just trust the process, right? But yeah, this second watch, I just noticed things that I didn't like more, and I liked it a little bit less this second time. Not saying that it's bad or anything. I feel like it might not hold up as well the more I watch it, but there is still so much to like in this film. Again, the Peter Parker Spider-Man dynamic, the MJ and Ned scenes. I really, really loved the scene when MJ reads the letter, because that is like the centerpiece of this movie, in my view. Like, both times I watched this, the audience, like, you could hear a pin drop. I mean, it's also because the music wasn't playing and they just kind of like let it ride, because these two are married and they have good chemistry together as actors, so let them do their thing. But they did so well, and the material was so good, and it unraveled as a scene in a way that was really interesting. And both audiences that I had for this ate it up. And I know they ate it up because they didn't say a fucking word until she says, "I don't love you. I don't even know you." Painful. Pain, agony even. It was terrible. Yeah, but that, and then, you know, the dichotomy of that, the swinging scene where after she had already broken his heart and he had to take her home, and meeting Ned and them just like shooting the shit like nothing had ever happened, you know, like they're just best friends again. And that line when he says, "I haven't had this much fun in years," like you really felt that, because he didn't sell that line. He like no sold it. He just said it. And when I saw that scene the first time, I was sobbing. I was just like, It was bad. My eyes were so wet. It was a mess. I was a mess. Because I think the film just does a really good job at making you feel the absence in his life. So I just found all those things really compelling. Really quick things before I just wrap up the Brand New Day aspect of it. I think that it was really cool seeing the Hulk finally Hulk out for the first time in like 10 years, because holy shit, you know. I hope that, you know, Doctor Doom doesn't fucking cuck him in Doomsday or in Secret Wars. But it was really cool just seeing that. And also the sequence of the Hulk and Spider-Man fighting was super interesting and really well done. And I liked the way that Spider-Man as a character interacted with him. I just found it really fun. And then also like Punisher being there, it was just really, it was funny and tense and entertaining. It was pure popcorn fucking entertainment. It was like escapism, pure escapism. Really loved the performances, besides like Sadie Sink in like being in that room. I thought everyone else did a really good job. This might be Tom Holland's best performance as Spider-Man, I think. Off the top of my head, I think so. And I think he really leveled up. I think his Spider-Man leveled up in my brain with this. And love the suit. I mean, I haven't really talked about really nerd shit in this so far, but I really hate the CGI suit in the fucking home movies. There's no texture. There's nothing to really connect to there. And him like actually wearing a real suit and seeing multiple shots of him taking off the mask and not cutting to another shot. Because if you watch the Raimi movies, and if you watch I think the Chasm, I think in those movies too, and even parts of the Home trilogy, if I remember correctly, I saw them like over a week ago. Whenever he takes off his mask, they usually do a jump cut or just a cut to a different angle of the same beat, so that when he's doing this motion and then with the cut, the mask comes off, so you like feel the momentum, but it's to cover the fact that he's usually wearing a face shell, like on set with the mask on. And with this, I feel like there were a lot of shots of him just like taking off the mask in one motion, in one shot, not cutting. And it felt more immersive in that way. There was a rumor that Justin how do you say that? Kurtzkis, right? Was a script doctor for the movie, and low key, with that in mind, you can kind of tell which scenes he had his hand on. He wrote Challengers, right? I'm pretty sure that was the writer of Challengers. That also had Zendaya. Right? And I think he's married to Celine Song, who has also written her fair share of like love triangles, love stories. Yeah. Okay, cool. Speaking of love triangles and like the actual thing, I almost forgot. I really liked the fact that Ned and MJ were friends. Okay? They could have done the bullshit, okay? They could have made MJ and Ned become lovers in this movie. That could have happened. Okay? I just want you to acknowledge that could have happened, and it would have been bad. Okay? Because as you see the Instagram reels of Ned going through MIT and MJ is in there, I was like, oh my God, there's going to be one video where they're kissing or something. And like they eventually like get together. I feel like that would have been really bad. Not just for, Peter's character. Obviously that would have been heartbreaking, but also like how would Peter have any impact on that? Because he never existed in their brains and they've been best friends since high school. So literally anything could have happened, right? And that was honestly one of my fears going into or coming out of No Way Home, is that like Peter would have been forced to find someone new, maybe even a Gwen Stacy, and then Ned and MJ would have had to have been a thing, possibly, and maybe Ned would have become a villain at some point, because in the comics he is the Hobgoblin, which is one of my faves from Spider-Man the Animated Series. The design of that character is so cool, and we will probably never get him in a movie. I don't think this Ned would ever become the Hobgoblin. He's just too cool for that. But yeah, I really liked that they were friends. I liked feeling the platonic like friend love that they have for each other, like being roommates and supporting each other. Like that scene when he's like following her into the kitchen during that party and he's like, so how'd the interview go? And they're just very supportive of each other. I found that really, really cool. But yeah, there was something else I was going to say, but I don't really remember. It's fine. I'll probably get to it in a little bit, because I'm about to do a little list. We're going to list these. But overall, Spider-Man Brand New Day, pretty good. Not as good on a second watch, I think, because the mystery is already gone at that point, and that's the risk you run when you write a mystery, is that if your mystery isn't super intricate and there aren't like a lot of seeds being planted in the beginning that give value on a second watch, then when you do a mystery story, once that mystery has been solved and you know what's what, the second watch not going to be as compelling in that regard. So, but the first watch was great, and I really emotionally connected to the film. I connected to the story. I connected to how much they tried to include New York as a character. The end credits sequence of just all of these shots of New York with Steve Lacy playing in the background, I found to be super, super duper compelling, because it feels like so in character of the movie, that is trying to be grounded, that is trying to reset all of the bigness that this character has faced, just trying to be intimate, being small, and also like the love of New York in terms of like the characters. Like not the characters, but the people that are outside of the characters. There are so many extras in this movie. Whether it's like in the beginning when Peter's on the phone talking to the police officer, and there's all of these extras in the background, or like the inclusion of all of these extras to show off the powers of Jean Grey with the physicality of being pushed out of one body and into another, to even like random moments where Spider-Man is saving people, or when Spider-Man comes out of the hospital and there's all this giant crowd of people cheering him on and waiting for him. You get this feeling that he means something to people, and the people are a genuine like character in this movie in a way that they hadn't been in a long ass time. So when the end credits happened, and you just see those shots, even on the second watch, I started crying. I just felt so in community. Like, because I live in this city. I live in New York. And I think that like a movie like this is perfect timing for the New York that we're living in right now. Because New York, before Zoran Mamdani became the mayor, was not doing well. Okay? Just not really doing well at all. New York has kind of been on a downslope for a very long time, I would say. Like, my entire adult life here has been... I mean, it's New York, so it's still great, but it could be so much better. There are so many ways that the system has failed New Yorkers, and also, like, just whether or not, like, the train's not fucking working, everything being super slow, opportunities and the quality of life, the overall vibes, the way that people feel about the city, the affordability and all of, like, there's so many like things that were going against us. And Zoran became mayor, made immediate changes that affects millions of people here. The Knicks doing so fucking well, winning the championship. Like, bringing people together, genuinely bringing people together in a way that I haven't seen in a long ass time. Truly. Like, strangers talking in the street, celebrating together, having a ball. Like, if you see someone wearing a Knicks shirt, that is an invitation to have a conversation. Like, we were all on the same page, even with the loudness. Like, people get loud, right? And you're just like, oh, shut up. Like, leave me alone. Like, whatever. But in the month of June, when it was loud outside, when fireworks were going off, when people were popping wheelies in the middle of the street, when people were honking, when people were screaming, it was all joy. Like, it wasn't for the purpose of disruption. It was the purpose of celebration. And then, you know, the World Cup and, like, just the momentum of all of the goodwill that has been created in this year, just in this city specifically, and to watch a movie on such a grand scale that feels semi like a love letter to the city and the communal nature of New York. I can't help but feel romantic about this place. Sure, there's a lot of cities that are multicultural. Sure, there's many of them in this country. There's many of them all over the world. But New York is like the center of the world, I feel, when it comes to culture, when it comes to influence, politically and artistically. You can think of all of the movements that have started in this city, whether it was hip hop or, the underground of rock, like in the 70s and shit, independent film, like so many filmmaking in general comes from New York. It started here. It started in New Jersey. It started here. Like, Hollywood is like where it's been, but this is the birthplace of it. Fucking Broadway. We have so many things here. We have so much culture. We have literally everyone from all over the world tries to live here, to start new, to have a brand new day. Fucking kill me for that one, right? But it's true. Like people like fucking Ellis Island, the Statue of Liberty, like coming here and having a brand new start that you could do anything. And the feeling of New York is like, it's like unique, like it's specifically American. Because like, yeah, the American experiment is, you know, a culture of cultures, right? Everyone coming in to one place to make it work. The fucking melting pot, right? But New York is the melting pot of the melting pot. We are the standard. And I feel like that standard hasn't been met until this year. Like, we're really doing it. And to watch Spider-Man, who is basically, in my view, the mascot of New York, the quintessential New Yorker from Queens, struggling to make ends meet, but makes it work, does genuine good, and cares about the community. New York, in its infrastructure, is a communal city. The fact that we can walk anywhere, the fact that we can be on instead of driving and being alone, which can be convenient, especially if it's fucking raining like it was the other day. You had to take an Uber to go somewhere because you didn't want to walk in the fucking storm. To like, you know, being on a train and being around people, being on a bus, being around people, walking, being around people. This city in its infrastructure is about togetherness. And so to see like this film acknowledge people in a subtle way, just being in the background in immense numbers, or trying to celebrate Spider-Man, you know, in his recovery, and that final shot, or those final shots of just these little moments where it's like a guy sleeping under a scaffolding, or a couple having a talk on on steps of a brownstone. Like it just hit me in a way that I loved. I love that shit. I love New York. I really do love this city. It's the best place. It's the best place. It really is. The needle drop of a bunch of New York artists is also a nice touch. Yeah. It was hard to really go wrong. I mean, a lot of artists are from New York, so like to be like, I need to find a good artist that captures the spirit, but they also have to be from New York. It probably wasn't that hard of a task. Eric Adams on a generational post-mayor run. Yeah. I fucking hate that guy. He's funny. He's funny in the way that Trump is funny, but just did so much corruption so incompetently. I genuinely. But yeah, so all of that to say, I had a great time. Hold on one second. Yeah, I had a great time, and I'm going to give my first watch of Spider-Man Brand New Day an 8 out of 10, just based on the pure emotions that I felt watching it, just based on all the tears that I teared. The second watch, it's going to be a 7. It's a 7. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. It's even just beyond the fact of being like a Spider-Man movie, to have a Hollywood film have this much character, have this much emotion, attention to detail in most aspects, I think is worth celebrating for sure. Now, on the next one, I still want Destin Daniel Cretton to make another Spider-Man movie, but that guy better use a fucking wide lens every once in a while. Please, lay off the 50mm lens. Lay off the 35mm. Lay off the 70mm, okay? Hit me with a 24. I want to see a 15. Give me a wide angle lens. Give me something cool, okay? I know that they used like a macro lens for that shot of the eye and the mask, which was practical. But we just need some more variety, especially in the dialogue scenes. That's just how I feel. Okay? Now, we are going to move on to the more controversial aspect of what I wanted to do here. I'm just moving some stuff around. We are going to do something that might be worth arguing about. We're going to do a ranking. We're going to rank all the movies. We're going to do it. I was going to do a tier list of like the movies, the animated show, you know, and the video games, but I feel like that would have just been OD, and I didn't really feel like that was necessary. Maybe another time. I think it'll be better when Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out, because then at least in talking about like everything, at least that trilogy will have been completed. Every headline about Adams is straight up hilarious. I mean, yeah, he's the guy who brought us, you know, I kind of want to show you guys the video of him doing an instructional video of how to like search for guns and drugs in your kid's room. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. Nah, I'm not going to do it. It's really funny though. You should look it up. But he's a funny guy. He is a funny guy. I love that he kept while he was mayor, kept like bringing in like other countries to like visit, and then being like the capital of that country is the blank of America. You know, like Istanbul is the New York City of whatever he said. I don't remember. It was too dumb for me to like try to imitate. He's too funny and unique in the worst way possible to try to like properly capture his essence. He's the type of person that you have to see him to believe him, I think. That's my view. Anyway, so we're going to rank all the movies, and that's about it. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to spend the rest of this. So I'm going to just put them all in release order, and then we're going to just move them around. So if you want to see this later, oh, I'm spoiling my rankings. Hello. How about maybe I wait? Maybe I wait. We're going to wait. I'm so sorry. We're going to get there. Don't even worry about it. Let's talk about Spider-Man. Actually, does it show up in a different way? Hold on. That's better. Okay. My bad, everyone. That was a mild spoiler, but hey, that's what happens when you're doing it live. Fuck it, we'll do it live, OV. I mean, I kind of spoiled, like, some of how I feel about these movies, but it's fine. How many movies are called Homecoming? Jesus Christ. Okay. Setting it up. I don't know how that happened. All right, let's look up No Way Home. Let's just see if there's... There it is. Okay. Okay. In between these? What the fuck? There we go. Okay. So we're in release order now. We are going to save it. I think it'll show up in a different way. Help me. Letterbox, please. There we go. Okay. So, oh, really? Does it not show up? Okay, that's annoying. All right, so we're going to do this in this way for now. It's a little janky. Oh, there we go. We got the numbers. Okay, we're so back. This is the fun of producing live. There are 11 movies, and I'm going to rank them all. Right now, they're in release order, and we're going to put them in quality order in a second. So, we're going to start with Spider-Man, okay? Spider-Man. This is one of the movies that I have seen the most in my life. This is a very important movie in terms of cinema, in a lot of different ways. Artistically, culturally, financially. This is the first film to open to $100 million domestic in film history. There had been steady climbs of box office, obviously, over time. And there had been films before Spider-Man that had made more than Spider-Man. Like, in general, like Titanic, right? Or, I don't know if, I think Spider-Man outgrossed, like, the early Phantom Menace and Jurassic Park, I think. If I remember correctly, I might be wrong. But no film up until this point had opened this big. Like, it just splashed. It was everywhere. So, this film was very important. Obviously, we know it. We love it. I have had a very love and hate relationship with this movie as time has gone on, as I have gotten older. Spider-Man is a film that is a very, very tight 2 hours. And if you're familiar with my commentary on Spider-Man, on this movie specifically, then you already know what I'm going to say. But I feel like the edit is just a tad too tight, and it could have been much, much, like, longer. Or it could have been given more time to breathe. It could have just been not as, like, beat, like, we're moving on to this scene, we're setting this up, we're going to the next scene. Like, I think that if this movie is like 10 minutes longer and not adding scenes, but just like in terms of the cut being more like laid back instead of crazy, I guess. I don't know how to say it. I feel like I've said this so many times in better ways. But long story short, Spider-Man, great time. The edit is just so fucking tight. So tight. That it feels like a lot of the character beats don't really get to have their due unless you're like watching the movie over and over and over again. And so, like, I'm not as high on this as I was when I was a kid, but when I watched the 35 millimeter open matte version of this movie, I felt like watching it for the first time all over again. This film is actually like gorgeous when you're not watching it like digitally, because feeling the texture of the grain and really getting the highlights and the shadows from that scan of the 35 millimeter print just adds a layer of dimension to the movie's visuals that it still exists when you watch it on Netflix or you watch it on Blu-ray or whatever, but that 35 millimeter scan is the shit. It is so good. I did a commentary. I think I said this on the last stream, but I did a commentary of the 35 millimeter scan on the Patreon, patreon.com/filmtherightthing. You could see it for $1. And I had a ball. Had a great time. And there's a lot of quirks to that cut too that are different from like the normal way that you watch it. But yeah, great time. Incredibly beautiful. I'm going to keep my ranking of Spider-Man in terms of the 35 millimeter version of this film. I'm not going to take into account the other times I haven't really liked it as much. So right now, since I haven't talked about any other movie, it's number one. It's the best movie, okay? Spider-Man 2. Banger. One of the best sequels of all time. I love this movie so much, and I watched it a lot when I was a kid. Like, a lot. I think I saw this in theaters, if I remember correctly. And Doc Ock scared the shit out of me, especially the fucking tentacles, you know? And I had such a attachment to this character. I mean, I was watching the animated show. I was watching these movies over and over again. I used to want to be Spider-Man. Like, I remember my uncle would like grab me when I was a kid, and I tell him like, "Bring me up to the walls," and he would let me like climb the wall and shit. And it was cool. I wish I was that small again, so I could just so I can get some uppies. You know, walking as an adult is like, it can get annoying. But yeah, so basically, I really had an attachment to this character. And also I used to do my own Spider-Man comics as well. I used to like draw Spider-Man, and I got like pretty good at it. Like the more I did it, and I did it a lot when I was a kid. And I would make my own little comics, and I would staple them. And I would just read them. I don't know where they are now, but I would do like all kinds of styles. I would do it like this. I would do it like the 63 67 animated show where the webbing just went up to here and it was like plain for the rest of it except for the gloves. Or I'd even try the animated series style. But this one I always found hard because the suit is so intricate, and the goggles I had a hard time with. I just couldn't do it. Anyway, I love Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2, I think, is one of the best superhero movies ever made. I think it's second only to The Dark Knight, if I had to say. And this movie, like I had said earlier, like, the best stories about Spider-Man are when Peter Parker and Spider-Man have to coexist, and they both have to overcome the obstacles of their own lives. Like the Spider-Man life, he has certain obstacles, and the Peter Parker life, he has like the real life obstacles. And the thing that makes Spider-Man 2 work so well is that for the first hour of this movie, he is suffering, truly suffering. Everything is going wrong. Even from the beginning, like the opening moment of the film, you see a billboard of MJ, and Peter is just like, oh, fuck, I can't have that. I can't have her. She's too far away from me. We are so separate. And then he gets hit by, you know, the fact that he has to go do the pizza stuff, to being late for college, to not being behind on his rent, to Harry hating him. And all of this happens on his birthday. This is all on his birthday. And Aunt May, you know, is struggling to pay the mortgage, and he's just so behind on everything. MJ is seeing someone. He's just suffering from the consequences of being Spider-Man. And the fact that they hammer that home for like an hour straight makes the next hour, where he slowly overcomes every obstacle, to be all the more satisfying. And there are so many incredibly acted scenes in this film, whether it's, you know, the dinner that Peter has with Octavius and his wife, or the moment that Aunt May has with Peter when she's packing up to move out of the house, and she gives him that speech about Spider-Man giving you something to hold on to, and pursuing, I forget what the speech is exactly, but part of it is also about like letting go of important things, to keep going, including your dreams. And I just found that like every beat of this movie is just incredibly well done. There's so many wicked transitions in this film, whether it's like, you know, Spider-Man was swinging his way to Octavius, and then the camera pulls out of his glasses, or like even just like the moment where we get the Spider-Man no more and he gives up his powers, and we cut into raindrops keep falling on my head, and it's a nice little fade into this like very bright, like sunny sequence. It's a very silly movie at times, but I feel like it really captures the earnestness of what we love about this character as well. It just feels like the quintessential movie up until this point. And I feel like there's not really a whole lot that's not great about this movie. I think that the only real knocks on this movie for me is just the visual effects, because they do a lot in terms of the visual effects, and there are times when it looks really good, and then there's times when it really doesn't. But that's just, that's just a product of the times. But also, like, we've always had moments like that with visual effects. I feel like it's in this film, it's not as well hidden as it is in the first film. But the story, the structure, the intentions behind this film, the performances in this film are just stronger in every way. I feel like Octavius is a stronger antagonist than the Green Goblin is in this, because there is such a reverence for, like, Spider-Man knows that Octavius is Doc Ock immediately, whereas in Spider-Man, Peter Parker doesn't know who the Green Goblin is until the very end. So, like, that conflict rests within Peter throughout Spider-Man 2. And yeah, I just love it. And also, Rosemary Harris, underrated performance in this film, I think. When we talk about like superhero movie performances, we talk about like, RDJ as Tony Stark and Heath Ledger as the Joker, and, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, right? But I think Rosemary Harris deserves her due as Aunt May. Deserves her due, like, in terms of celebration, because she just brings so much to this role, and I feel like she's playing the film as if she knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And when you watch her performance in that way, I feel like it just adds a lot, and I love it. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger. Yeah. So right now, Spider-Man 2, better than Spider-Man. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. I love it. I saw it in a theater last year. Had a ball. It's incredible. Spider-Man 3. Okay. So, this movie stinks. It's safe to say that this movie stinks. I think we all know that. But this movie is bad in, like, the obvious ways that we all, talk about having 3 villains, the scene of him catcalling, right? But I feel like where this movie fails is in its characters. Not even the fact that there's too many of them. It's the way that they are expressed in this film. And I feel like the main culprit is Peter Parker. Obviously, they have to lead into the symbiote. But for me, Peter Parker should not be an asshole until he gets the symbiote. That might be a hot take. That might not be a hot take. But I just feel like if he, in these 2 movies, is just like, the whole point of his character is that he's trying to be Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and he's struggling at every turn, but then he overcomes. In this film, he shouldn't be an asshole. Like, he kisses Gwen Stacy in front of MJ. He is more obsessed with the way that people perceive him than his relationship with Mary Jane. It's just so messy. Like, everything up until he gets the black suit is kind of insufferable, and he's the protagonist of the movie, and we do not like him. Sure, he's toxic in a way that, in like a joking way, is funny, but also it's just not compelling. Like, in terms of like Spider-Man, like, it just doesn't work. And the way that he treats MJ, the way that he just the way that he carries himself, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. The Green Goblin, kind of a waste. The design is ugly. Sandman is wasted. He's the one character that Sam Raimi actually wanted to make this movie about. He didn't want to do Venom. Avi Arad, the Israeli demon who produces all of these movies, he wanted Venom in this movie because he has an obsession with Venom, I guess, because Venom is a very high profile character in the comics and made a lot of money in the comics in terms of comic sales and stuff. And I guess he always had an obsession to try to bring this character to life in the movies, but doesn't work. And it feels, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Superman, the Tim Burton Superman movie that was going to come out in the 90s that never happened. There is a producer named John Peters who pushed hardcore to try to have a giant spider at the end of one of his movies. And he tried to make that happen in Superman Lives, which is a movie that never came out. It was supposed to be a Tim Burton directed Superman movie starring Nicolas Cage as Superman. And it basically just covers the death of Superman and his return, but it never came out. There's a good documentary about it. But it felt very like John Peters needing a spider in one of his movies coded. And that's what kind of happened here with Venom. John Peters, going back to this, I have ADD. John Peters was so obsessed with the giant spider third act idea that was in his head that he forced it into Wild Wild West, which is why the movie is the way that it is because of him. And so Spider-Man 3 suffers for that same reason, because there's just crazy, wacky producers who aren't real filmmakers. They just have either money or connections or status. And so they force us to sit through this bullshit. So Spider-Man 3 doesn't really work. The casting of Eddie Brock, Topher Grace, it doesn't work. I don't think there is much that needs to be said about it. But my unique take about Spider-Man 3 is that I feel like the symbiote and the way that it's portrayed in this film is incredibly racist. In my view, I feel like, I wrote it on Letterboxd, so you can read it if you want. And also, Glenn and I's, one of our first commentaries was of Spider-Man 3. So if you want to suffer through incredibly bad audio, peaking loud audio, you can go back and find that video of us watching it. But I try to point out to Glenn all the ways that this movie's racist. But I'll just do a rapid fire. So when he gets the black suit, obviously, it enhances his personality that we've seen up until this point. And he does, a variety of things. So jazz music becomes more of a prominent feature of the film score. Jazz is obviously originally a black art. Then he starts catcalling people on the street. He's very he's like a womanizer. He's doing all of these stereotypical racist caricatures, and but he's doing it as a white guy, which is weird. But he's also bathed in purple light, hits his girlfriend. He's, again, obsessed with jazz. When he's catcalling people in the street in that one montage, we're listening to Get On Up. It's just, there is moment after moment after moment. And after he hits MJ, he makes this acknowledgement that it's this black suit that he's wearing that's causing him to be a misogynistic womanizer, woman beater. It's just weird vibes. And the thing that puts it over the edge for me, and you may not believe me as I'm describing this, but you kind of have to watch it. You have to see it to believe it. But the next time that we see Spider-Man in the original suit, this one, is in front of an American flag. He just bursts onto the scene, and there's an American flag waving behind him as he's in the correct suit. It's insane. You may not believe me, but trust me, it's there. I don't think I articulated it super well this time, but just read the Letterboxd review. I think I wrote it a lot better than I said it. But Spider-Man 3 is staying at the bottom at this point. These three, it's staying there. There's just no way out, okay? The Amazing Spider-Man is this first movie, but not as good. It's just trying to retread a lot of the origin, but it just changes a couple of things. Instead of MJ, we got Gwen. Instead of Green Goblin, we have a Green Lizard. There are a couple of fun sequences in the film, but the fact that it's so Dark Knight coded makes it not work, and it makes it feel like A, overly dramatic, and B, very isolating. It doesn't feel as warm as this film. I mean, you can even see it in like the colors, right? Like this one is just cold and dark and brooding, and this one's like super adventurous and wide open and warm. But this film doesn't really work. I don't really feel attached to Andrew Garfield as this character, and the vibes aren't right. Peter Parker's just not. He's kind of an asshole when he becomes Spider-Man. The great power comes great responsibility scene is not good. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. The thing that I like about this movie a lot, though, is that there are a lot of unique camera angles when it comes to, when he's Spider-Man, he's shooting webs and stuff. I found that fun. The lighting at night I really like in this movie, but that's about it. It's fine. I'm going to put it above Spider-Man 3. Now we have the real debate between The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. So I'm kind of struggling with this one. I've been thinking about it for a little bit, because Spider-Man 3 is like bad in its foundation, because to me, Spider-Man 3 should have been about, like, if Spider-Man 1 was about him rejecting his love of MJ to be Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 2 was about him trying to balance Spider-Man and Peter Parker and ultimately letting MJ choose to be in his life because he made the choice for her and he didn't get to let her choose. If that was what those movies were about, I feel like Spider-Man 3 should have been about MJ and Peter trying to make it work, trying to make real life work as Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And this movie in Spider-Man 3 doesn't really do that. It's just like from the beginning, it's like, hey, Peter Parker's an asshole and MJ is just gonna have to deal with it until she can't deal with it anymore, and then they separate. Like, it's so contrived. Like, I think it's so much easier to have the characters split apart when what would have been the harder writing task was having them together and them trying to have a life and dealing with the real life stuff that Peter Parker deals with in Spider-Man 2. Not that it wouldn't be repetitive, because you're just adding MJ to the mix, and just seeing them together, I feel like would have been really cool. That's just how I feel. Anyway, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has the same like generic main problems as Spider-Man 3. We all know this. We have the too many villains problem, but also this movie just has a lot of bullshit in it, like around the story. It focuses a lot on Peter Parker's dad and Peter Parker trying to find and understand where his dad went. And the Green Goblin curse, the Osborn curse, and the ghost of Captain Stacy haunting him. There's just a lot going on. And I feel like the main issue with the Amazing movies is that they are trying so hard to delineate themselves from the Raimi movies that it doesn't work. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a much better suit than the first film. The web swinging is generational. It's great. But everything else surrounding it is not good. The third act comes out of nowhere. Electro could have been a cool villain, but I just the fact that Max Dillon's like obsessed with him, it doesn't really work. I will say that the death of Gwen is the best part about this movie. I mean, it's like it's been memed at this point, but it is honestly the strongest aspect of this movie. It's like for a movie that is this bloated and bad, it still has this one kernel that works. And if it just focused on that one thing, it could have been a truly special movie, because even in the films that I like, he doesn't really reap what he sows a lot of the time. He kind of like gets away with things, you know, like MJ survives in all 3 movies. She's in danger all the time. And the only people who die in these movies are Uncle Ben and the villains, right? In this film, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker fails. And I feel like that is an interesting place to go. But it does it in the worst movie. It's just bad. God, there's so every time I talk about a new movie, I keep wanting to go back to Spider-Man 3 and how bad it is. I keep wanting to talk about it because, like, in the third act of this movie, in the third act of Spider-Man 3, they rely on MJ being a damsel in distress again. And, like, you could have literally done anything else. But it does have, the black suit is cool, but it's just not, fuck it, you know? I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing. This is how I feel. Spider-Man 2 has good things in it, but it's just like a mess. Spider-Man 3 is just foundationally bad on so many levels. And it's also like supposed to be like the last one. And it doesn't treat it like that at all. Maybe they did that with the intention of there being a Spider-Man 4, but like it just, as a final movie, it just so doesn't hit the mark. TASM movies are just hype and aura moments. I agree. I think so. But the aura, it does have aura though. Just the web swinging part, even in TASM, the moment where he's it's really silly, but the moment where he's like swinging from crane to crane looks pretty cool. But yeah, Spider-Man 3 is just so bad. It is just so bad. There's so many like reasons to not like it. There's so many things to pick apart about it. And I know there's people who defend it and like it because of like how unhinged it is and how memed it is. But as like a movie, it just gets Peter Parker wrong. It gets Spider-Man wrong. It gets everything wrong. It's just wrong. And yeah, again, Sandman doesn't really do much. He's in like 3 scenes and he's out. But he's supposed to have like this like, you know, revelation of like his wrongdoing and the fact that he killed Uncle Ben by accident, and then having that being a revelation. But like, it doesn't get enough screen time to matter. And also like Venom just poorly cast. It's just Spider-Man 3 is so bad. I can't stop talking about how bad it is in comparison to TASM 2. I went to a screening I'm legally not allowed to talk about, and someone I talked to has Spider-Man 3 as the second best of the trilogy. You should admit that person into a psychiatric ward, I think. Because that's insane. Anyway, Spider-Man Homecoming. So, this is a movie that a lot of people have a lot of reverence for. It's the first, Spider-Man movie in like 3 years. We just got new casting the year before. Tom Holland as Spider-Man. He was in Civil War. And this movie just got fast-tracked. It came out so fast. The idea of it being called Homecoming, the marketing of it being like a John Hughes type movie was kind of misleading. Michael Keaton as Vulture, brand new villain that we hadn't got yet. The amazing movies that kind of retread. Sorry, I'm very burpy right now. I've been talking a lot. In the TASM movies, we had gotten Green Goblin for a second time. And so we hadn't had some new villains. And also in TASM 1, they retreaded the same shit from Spider-Man. So it's like, we need something new. So there was a lot of new in this. Iron Man is involved in this movie. Everything is new. And they're not going over the origin again. We're just like, he is Spider-Man. And we're just moving on. And he's in high school, and we're getting like a proper high school story, and everyone looks young, and so there was a lot going for it. Everyone was excited for it. It did really well. I mean, all of these movies have done really well. But this movie did really well, and people really like this movie. And I like parts of this movie. I like the dynamic between Peter Parker and Vulture and how that comes together in the third act. I like the small nature of it at times, but then it gets too big for his britches, The movie I watched had Robert Pattinson in it. Oh, did you watch the Chris Hansen movie? I know you did. There's no way you've seen Dune yet. I am excited for that movie. Anyway, so with Homecoming, I feel like Homecoming is and I think it's interesting that it's so self-referential and subverts the scenes it references. Yeah, I kind of agree. But I think that the thing that goes okay, so Tom Holland as Peter Parker, because I talked about. Did I even talk about Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker when I was talking about the trilogy? I don't think so. He's quintessential. He's incredible. He captures the tone of what Spider-Man is. I think he takes the job of Spider-Man seriously, and he's a goofy guy, and he's a nerd, but he also deeply feels. And the Amazing Spider-Man, I feel like he was just too cool for school, I think. And I feel like they didn't really capture Peter and all of his Peterness, in my view. There are moments where he's a little quirky, but it's not in the foundation of his character for me. So we get to Tom Holland, and his version of Peter Parker is very neurotic, and I like that a lot. And he doesn't have a lot of confidence. And he's also trying to juggle trying to be an Avenger and trying to be a student, being a teenager, a very young teenager. This is the youngest that Peter Parker has ever been in these movies. Because in Spider-Man, he's in his senior year of high school. And in this movie, I think he's 15 years old. So he's sophomore year of high school, I'm pretty sure. Sophomore, junior year. And in Spider-Man 2 and 3, he's in college, post-grad, whatever. And then The Amazing Spider-Man kind of follows the same trajectory. He's, senior year of high school-ish to adulthood. So this one, he's very young in high school. And I feel like that is a breath of fresh air. There's a lot of fresh ideas in this. However, I feel like this film is so digitized. It's so synthetic. It's so disgusting looking. This is the beginning of the John Watts trilogy, and it is so gross. It just doesn't look good. I don't know when's the last time you guys have seen this movie, but I would really recommend that you go back and watch it. I have it on Blu-ray. A friend of mine gave it to me. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna pay for this movie. I'll just have it around. And I watched it on Blu-ray, so I didn't have to deal with the compression of streaming, because streaming can look bad. And the Blu-ray makes this look worse. It doesn't look good. It's so flat. The suit is all CG. And there's so many scenes where you cannot get attached to what's going on because the image is so synthetic and fake looking. And it doesn't help when you're trying to have us be emotionally involved in certain moments, and I just don't believe what I'm looking at. So that's my biggest knock against it. But do I put it under TASM? I don't know. I will put it above TASM because it's a fresh story. So if I'm rewatching, like, the difference between like this and Homecoming and TASM is that, like, if I'm gonna watch TASM, I might as well just watch Spider-Man. It's just the same origin but worse. And at least Homecoming isn't trying to be that. So it wins in that way. Hold on, let me move into the Spider-Verse because it came out before Far From Home. And Homecoming has its flaws for sure, but it's at least a fresh watch. It's a fresh take. It's not pretending to be the same thing, but just different. It's its own thing. It's truly its own thing. It's truly its own thing to its success and to its detriment, especially the final shot of the movie when Aunt May finds Spider-Man, or finds Peter Parker, and he takes the suit, he takes the mask off, and she sees him as Spider-Man, and it's played as a joke. I really don't like that. I don't like that at all. I think the way that they used Aunt May in this trilogy is so irresponsible, I think, because, like, these movies pretend that Uncle Ben never died, or that he just didn't exist. Like, the tragedy of Uncle Ben's death doesn't hang over Peter at all in these movies. It doesn't hang over Aunt May at all. I'm not saying it has to be super fucking dark, super fucking serious, but it doesn't play a factor at all. And when Aunt May finds out that he's Spider-Man, in this first moment, it's played as a joke. And then in the other movies, she's kind of an enabler of his dangerous behavior. Obviously, as the audience, he's Spider-Man. We want to see him as Spider-Man. But Aunt May has to be like the moral center. She also has to be like the parent, the adult in the room. She has to ground him and make him realize that what he's doing is fucking dangerous, and he's a child and he doesn't know any better. And even though he feels like what he's doing is the right thing, she has to bring him down to earth and make him realize that he's not a Spider-Man, he's a teenage boy. So that dichotomy doesn't exist in this trilogy, and I find that very fucking frustrating. So when it's played here as a joke, it really annoyed the fuck out of me. And when we get to Far From Home, we'll talk about it. I mean, I kind of just like went over everything in a broad way, but the way that it's continued in Far From Home really irked me. But it's time to talk about Into the Spider-Verse. I'm just going to like move it over here. I really like this movie a lot. I know a lot of people have this here, and I don't fault you, but I think that this movie is too short. That's my hot take. I think Into the Spider-Verse is way too short. It is like an hour and 45 minutes, an hour and 50 minutes-ish, but it spends a lot of time like introducing characters and doing the origin story thing again and again and again, that I wish that there was more time to develop Miles, because we do get a lot of time for Miles, but like by the time we get to the third act, I'm like, I don't really feel like we've gone on a journey yet. And I wish that I felt that in the way that I felt with the other Spider-Man movies. So the animation is generational. It's gorgeous. The jokes are incredible. It's super fun to watch. It's very deep. It's very emotional. The music is great. Even the original soundtrack, I love Sunflower, great song. I love Miles Morales as a character. I love having a Puerto Rican Spider-Man. That's my guy. That's my fucking guy. The voice acting is great. It's a good time. I love the way that they subverted all the different versions of like Spider-Man, but also like the villains, like Doc Ock being a woman, and just seeing how big Kingpin is. Like he just covers the frame at points where you don't even see beyond him. He's just like this white face inside of a black, composition. It's a good movie. I really, really like it. It's endlessly rewatchable. I just think it's too short. That's my main beef. I feel like if it had more time to breathe, if we had more time with it, it would be much higher for me. If we're not accounting for the 35 millimeter open matte, it's here, but the 35 millimeter open matte is just too good. It's too good. All right, now we're on Far From Home. Far From Home has some things going for it, I think. Here we get to see Peter interact with MJ more, because in Homecoming that didn't really exist. There was another character, and that other character served the purpose of connecting us to the Vulture. Also, going back to Homecoming really quick, that opening scene where we get the origin of Vulture and him working for Tony Stark and cleaning up the... Was he working for Tony Stark, or did he get his job taken? He was a small business owner and got his job taken by Tony Stark because he wanted to do the cleanup after the Avengers showdown in New York. I'm pretty sure. It's been a while. This is the one that I've seen the least recently. But that scene is so ugly because they are just clearly in a blue screen, and that is a lot of Far From Home as well. But I will say that the visual effects in Far From Home are much better. Far From Home was so much worse than I remembered. Yeah, he had his job taken. Yeah. So with Spider-Man Homecoming, I liked it when it came out, and in rewatching it this year, I liked it a lot less. When Far From Home came out, I did not like it upon impact. I reviewed it. Glenn and I reviewed it when it came out. I think he liked it, and I gave it a 5. I was not with it. I was not with it at all. I hated how they progressively made Aunt May a non-factor in these movies. How she, again, like I said, became an enabler for his reckless behavior as Spider-Man. I hated the look of it. It is an incredibly flat movie. It is ugly to look at. And the villain being Mysterio, I was excited for, but then the way that they went about it, they wanted him to, again, try to replace Tony Stark. Like that was his play, that he was going to replace Tony Stark and be like seen by everybody and be recognized. And it's so stupid. It's like in Black Panther when they killed off Black Panther like halfway through the movie. Why? Before the movie starts, he's in the trailer for Avengers Infinity War, which is coming out 3 months later. Why the fuck would you make a movie where Black Panther dies in the middle of the movie? It doesn't, like, I'm not going to believe you. I'm not going to feel anything because I'm like, I watch him get destroyed by Killmonger and I'm like, oh, he's coming back later. It's just silly. It is just silly. So, when Mysterio pops up, I'm just not there. I don't care. Like I'm waiting for the obvious thing to happen. It wasn't really compelling to me. Jake Gyllenhaal performs Mysterio very well. I forget the character's name. His alter ego, or not his alter ego, his real name. Quentin Beck. He performs Quentin Beck very well. It's Jake Gyllenhaal. He's never going to like phone it in. Even in like MCU slop, like he's just not. And then also like it just feels weird because they're not in New York. This is a story that takes place in Europe, and the visuals in Europe are so ugly. Again, very ugly. I think that if you're gonna shoot in Europe, can I see the fucking location? Can I get some beautiful shots of the scenery? Can I feel the setting? It all just feels so samey. Everything just feels like it just feels so pedestrian and not interesting. It feels like a TV show. That's what this movie looks like, a TV show. I'm gonna put it above TASM, I think. I'm thinking about it. I haven't really thought about my ranking as I'm going through. Because again, if I'm gonna watch, my thing with TASM again is that if I'm gonna watch an origin story about Spider-Man, I might as well just watch Spider-Man. Far From Home doesn't have a lot going for it visually, but at least like it's in terms of story doing something different. I think I don't even know if I believe myself. What did I give The Amazing Spider-Man? I have to see. Hold on. We're going to pause for a second. I just want to see what I gave this movie. I don't want to spoil. Spider-Man. Yeah, I gave it a 5. It's all the same. It's all the same to me. God damn it. Okay. So if this is a 5 and this is a 5, it kind of does it. This is like depending on how I feel on the day. This one has terrible visuals. And oh wait, no, the story's like really bad too. Like even in the third act, like Nick Fury is weird. Nah, fuck that. This is here. I've made my choice. It's here. It's under. I don't even care that it's the same thing. I was being a little biased, okay? Okay. No Way Home. No Way Home is the best movie in the trilogy. So by that metric, I'm putting it here. It brings back a lot of the older villains, even though some of it doesn't make sense because they come back because they know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but Electro never knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. It never happened in TASM or never happened in TASM 2. And then even in No Way Home, they acknowledge that Electro doesn't know who Peter Parker is or doesn't know who Spider-Man is because they have a joke about how Jamie Foxx's character wishes. I'm saying it that as Jamie Foxx's character and not Electro because he's just playing Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is just playing himself in this movie. But he gives a joke about like how he thought like Spider-Man would be like black or something. And it's like a funny joke, but in the context of this movie, it's a giant oversight over like the reason why his character is even in the movie in the first place. Like he doesn't know who Peter Parker is, and also he acknowledges in this movie that he didn't know who Peter Parker was. So it's like it's so dumb. It's such a massive just blind spot. This is Tom Holland's best performance yet as this character. We get more of Peter Parker and Zendaya, or Peter Parker and MJ in this. Zendaya's great in this. She has a lot of great beats. We also get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back, as you all know. And I feel like as soon as they enter the film, it gets injected with this burst of life. Especially when the three of them are interacting, it's like incredible. It's a fever dream of a movie. It's like a weird ass just thing that happened that we all got to experience. Like this had never really happened, and so just watching it happen like the first time in the theater was like kind of fucking crazy. But when you watch it alone, it doesn't really hit as much, but the character beats are so well done. the thing that really goes against this is like just how heavily digitized this is, just like Homecoming, just like Far From Home. Um, there were just a bunch of shots in this film that don't need to be entirely CGI. You could point to that one famous shot of Flash Thompson scrolling his phone, and he's clearly in front of a green screen. He's not even fucking outside. There's exterior shots of like cars pulling up to buildings in that film, and it's all CG. Like they just created an entirely CG shot. Green Goblin, his suit is CG. A lot of Doc Ock stuff is CG. There's just too much of it. It's just too much, and it doesn't look good. And it's so ugly, especially that bridge sequence when all the characters, when Doc Ock and Green Goblin get introduced. It's so ugly. It is so ugly. But the thing that this movie has going for it that makes it stand out in comparison to Homecoming and Far From Home is that this movie is about something, like truly about something. It's about Peter Parker's morality. It's also the origin story that they didn't tell in Homecoming, but they're telling it in the third film where he finally like has his like canon event where he suffers the loss of a family member, and he gets the "with great power comes great responsibility" quote. Which apparently Uncle Ben did not tell him before because Aunt May repeated it, or Aunt May said it, and then when he said it, Toby and Andrew repeated it, and he's like, "How did you know that?" And they say, "Because Uncle Ben said it." That that made this more compelling, and then on top of that, Peter Parker having to consciously make the decision about whether or not to kill the Green Goblin. And having the no-kill rule being enforced in this movie, I found to be very compelling, where we are watching a lot of blockbusters where, like, the films make us want to engage in bloodthirst, where they make us want to see the protagonist kill the antagonist in a lot of these action blockbusters, right? And this movie is like, no, that's wrong. And Toby and Andrew's Spider-Man are just like, this is not going to grant you the solace that you think you need. It's not going to give you the satisfaction that you think it's going to give you. It's so compelling. And it makes it worth sitting through the ugly visuals to get there. And there's a lot of great character beats, like Andrew saving MJ and getting his redemption. The Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3 thing, the web swinging, the triple swing, even Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, and them not... I like what they did with his character visually, actually. I like that they didn't give him the mask and they just let his face be the mask, because Willem Dafoe's face is so expressive. And I also like the ripped up like hoodie under the over the armor kind of vibe. It gave you like the classic like comic thing with the hood thing, but it didn't do it all the way, but it was really, I did like it, especially like at the Statue of Liberty when he comes in with the goggles and he has the glider and he's throwing the grenades. It's cool. I found it cool. It tickled my hog brain. The fight choreography is fun. It's a mixed bag. But there are some cool sequences. Spider-Man versus Doctor Strange is fun. The spell being cast at the end is great, but also like the way that the spell is initially cast that causes everything to happen is so contrived. Because shouldn't Doctor Strange have been like, "I'll cast this spell without you, like you can just walk away"? Why is Peter talking so much if Doctor Strange is telling him to chill out? Like, it's played for laughs. It's too silly. It's really annoying. I'm not a fan. It takes a very long time for the movie to get good, to be honest. The whole plot before the Spidey gang enters the movie is pretty whack. That's pretty much what I was saying. You did it pretty concise. Hi. Hello. Hello. I'm ranking them. I'm not done ranking them, so don't think that this is where we're at. We've ranked up until here, up until 9. So that's what we're doing. All right, so No Way Home is going to stay here. I had a great time, but the more you watch it, the more it doesn't hold up. It's kind of like Brand New Day in that it's like the first watch is like great. But the more you watch it, you know? Anyway, Across the Spider-Verse. So, are you ready for this one? Across the Spider-Verse. I'm not even going to think about it. Bam. There, I said it. I want you to sit with this. I need instant reactions. Because I think people typically have Into the Spider-Verse above like everything else. And I just think Across is incredible. If this movie had a real third act, oh my God, this might be number one. It could be. The only thing that ruins this movie is the fact that it ends on a cliffhanger. Everything else about this movie is perfect. The animation is some of the best animation like ever put to film or ever put to digital, I guess, right? Because film they're not scanning this on film. But it's some of the most beautiful animation ever in a movie. The characterization is so strong. I love the opening prologue with Gwen. I love how Miles evolves as a character. I love how this film, more than Into the Spider-Verse, is about like the character of Peter Parker and like it is it. I mean, it talks about like canon events, but this is like it solidifies like the purpose of Spider-Man as a character in fiction. Like he has to suffer tragedy because he wouldn't be Spider-Man without it, right? And Miles, seeing everyone else suffer their tragedy, he had suffered his own. He had lost his Uncle Aaron, right? But he also has to lose his father. And the fact that he is conscious of this happening and he has to like try to outrun fate, I found to be incredibly interesting. All the other Spider-Men are very cool. I love all their introductions, especially the Indian one. I love that town. It's so rich and full of life, and it's so cool. Each world had their own visual aesthetic. Again, going back to Gwen, I really love the pastel, like water, like paint, like the dripping. Like there's like it's not like really like a realistic looking world, and it's so expressive. And the compositions in this are absolutely gorgeous. Like this scene from this poster where they're like talking to each other and having a heart-to-heart moment, but they're like hanging upside down because they can. The web swinging is so awesome. I love how each moment of this film, even though it's so long, is so just dripping with character. And I don't think there's a single aspect of this movie that doesn't work besides the end. In my view, I just found every moment compelling. And yeah, I'm just going to leave it there, I think. I think there was something else I wanted to say. I think the end leaves you on like such like a hopeful but also hopeless feeling because Gwen has to go rescue Miles, and you know he's in the wrong Earth, and he runs into a Miles that has become the Prowler from a different universe. It's the universe that was supposed to have Miles be bitten by this spider, but it didn't. It came from another universe and it bit him instead. So, you know, Miles is, different in that universe. But I think when we get to Beyond the Spider-Verse, I don't think that Miles is actually bad. I just think that they're holding him in question because that's what you would do if another you showed up. You're like, who the fuck are you? Where did you come from? This is weird. I don't know what you are. Like, I'm gonna hold you hostage for a minute until I get some answers, right? So I feel like I think Prowler. Oh wait, was he working for Kingpin? I think he was in that version. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be as bad as he's portrayed at the end of this movie. That's my lock. But I'm gonna put Across the Spider-Verse right there. I like it. I like this movie a lot. So, brand new day. Brand new day. For now, I'm gonna put it here. But I'm not sure because on my first watch, I had it here. But the more that I think about it, I just think it's like this. Right? It's really good. Brand New Day is very good. I also think it's like too early to even consider it being here. Like this is unrealistic. I'm sorry. You know? I just think that this movie does such a good job at reestablishing Spider-Man, but I feel like these other movies do it in a much stronger way. On the first watch, this might even be here. I was crying a lot the first time I watched this movie. But I'm glad I watched it again because the second watch always puts things into perspective for me on whether or not like I'm really like vibing with it. And I am vibing with this. It's just not as hard as it was the first time. So I'm going to leave it there. This is how I feel about Spider-Man, all the movies. Got Spider-Man 2 number 1, Across the Spider-Verse number 2, Spider-Man number 3, Into the Spider-Verse number 4, Brand New Day number 5, then No Way Home, then Homecoming, then TASM, then Far From Home, then TASM 2, then Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 really is that bad. Honestly, if you haven't watched Spider-Man 3 recently, I would watch Spider-Man 2 instead. And then watch Spider-Man 3. Just to get the contrast of how good the characterization of Peter Parker is in Spider-Man 2. To then go to Spider-Man 3 and see them completely bastardize everything that they built for that character. Also, really quickly, like MJ gets such a bad rap in the Raimi trilogy, but she does nothing wrong. She does nothing wrong, okay? She is dating Flash Thompson in the first film, okay? Right? She's dating Flash Thompson in the first film, and she is with him because he gives her attention. She has family issues at home, and she wants someone to take care of her. So she's with Flash Thompson. That's all very clear from the beginning of the movie to the scene where she runs out of her house to the backyard and talks to Peter, to Flash Thompson being outside coming to pick her up in his new car. Like, that is all there, right? Then there is this like clear will they won't they with Peter, and but it never materializes into anything. Then after she breaks up with Flash Thompson, she starts dating Harry because, as you saw in the Spider Museum lab place where he gets bit, Harry is willing to make a move when Peter isn't. He's willing to shoot his shot, and Peter is too scared to. So Harry willing to do that is what allows, MJ to date Harry, because Harry's giving her attention. Harry is showing his interest in her, where Peter has not. And Peter and MJ have been friends for so long that, like, it didn't seem like, it would work, really, right? So, as the movie goes on, you see that MJ doesn't really like Harry. She likes that he gives him attention, or she likes that he gives her attention, right? So once Peter actually like makes a move in that hospital scene where he tells her how he feels, then you really like get to see like who she's actually interested in, and it's Peter. It's always been Peter. She says it at the end and at the funeral, like, it's you. It's always been you. I love you, Peter. And then they kiss and whatever. And Peter pushes her away, obviously, because it's his gift. It's his curse. Who is he? He's Spider-Man, you know? And then he goes swinging, right? Spider-Man 2, they're distant because he pushed her away. So now he's dealing with the consequences of his actions. And so MJ is like, okay, well, I can't wait for him. He's not going to show up to my shows or to my play. He's barely around. He doesn't want a relationship with me. He friend zoned me. So I have to go find someone else to fall in love with. And she does, and she's going to get married, and she's not getting married for any other reason than security, right? Like, that's sort of like the vibe that you get, because she can't be with the person that she actually loves. She's settling. She settles, right? And so as Peter begins to acknowledge the Peter Parker outside of Spider-Man, it allows, her to sort of reconsider. Like, there's that scene where she kisses her fiance on the couch, and she kisses him like how they kissed in the first film when he was upside down. And that was that moment that you realize that, oh, she doesn't really love him, even though she said, like, most people have been in a relationship where you're not with them because you're not with them anymore because you genuinely love them. It's because you're afraid to be alone. And so once Spider-Man is revealed to her, once she sees that it's been Peter the whole time, Peter's been the one who's been saving her, it all comes into place. And all of the things that Peter had used to push himself away from her, and all the negative feelings that Mary Jane had towards Peter because he was just an empty seat to her, all of that gets washed away because the secret is out. Now she knows why. Like, everything is suddenly explained because he's Spider-Man. And so they make it work. Then in Spider-Man 3, he's just an asshole to her. So she has no choice when she's trying to talk to him about her play not going well and the getting bad reviews, and he can't even say, man, that really sucks, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, I don't know, Spider-Man gets a lot of critics too, but you just gotta roll with the punches. Like, what? And then he kisses Gwen in front of her in the way that they did in the first movie, and he doesn't disclose that she is his lab partner, that he already knows who she is in real life. Like, he cheated on her. And she, like, yeah. So in my view, she doesn't do anything wrong up until that point. In Spider-Man 3, like, the kiss with Gwen was wrong. It was out of character. And then when she kisses Harry, that just felt wrong too. They just mess up every character in this movie. From the casting of, Eddie Brock to the way that it all, like, comes together. It's just bad. It is just so bad. I can't stand it. It's still an entertaining movie, but it's just bad. Spider-Man 2 is just a mess. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just a mess, and it's boring. But it has, like, cool shit in it. It has aura, like Vince said earlier. People calling Brand New Day the best Spider-Man ever is crazy. It's good, but it's nothing like Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 it's the one. I mean, it's kind of like a boring answer to say that Spider-Man 2 is the best. It's like saying, like, the Dark Knight is the best Batman movie, or it's the best, like, DC movie. It's the best comic book movie, because it is. It might be. The only movies that I feel like give the Dark Knight a run for its money are Spider-Man 2 and the Batman. Pretty much. Every other one is just either really good, pretty good, okay, mid, bad, etc. But, like, Spider-Man 2, The Dark Knight, The Batman, GOAT status. Truly GOAT status, in my view. But yeah, this is how I feel. If you guys feel any other way, if you want to change some things about this order, you can go right ahead. You can let me know. But as John Bernthal would say, it's for the birds. Because this is my order and I'm sticking to it. This will be on my Letterboxd, so you can see it. I am at Bald Bitch. I just recently watched The Odyssey last night. I watched The Wrestler a couple days ago. Where's the list at, though? My pinned list, recent lists, right here. You should be able to find it. There's a bunch of stuff on here. If you want to know what I'm watching, like in real time, just follow me here. I've not watched as many movies this year as I'd like to have seen. I've only seen, I haven't seen 100. I think I've seen 100 individually. But I think it's a little bit more than that. Yeah. Anyway, the New York Film Festival is coming up soon. It's at the end of next month. I'm very excited for the New York Film Festival. Hold on one second. I'm just going to close with this. Seeing the Odyssey 70mm IMAX at 2 a.m., that is unhinged. That is truly unhinged. Okay, so really quick. I'm going to be covering this at some point. I'll do like a good movie season stream and just go over all the movies that I watched at the New York Film Festival. Keep an eye out for La Gradiva. That's one of the better reviewed films at Cannes that no one talked about. Okay, we'll see. So the lineup is truly insane. You'll be looking at some of these and you're like, I don't know what that is, and that's totally fine. The main 3 films at this festival that are playing are Paper Tiger by James Gray, which is probably going to be one of the Oscar frontrunners, if I had to guess, just based on the hype. But we'll see. I'm going to watch it on September 25th because I got opening night passes, so I'm going to try to see it then. I'm very excited for it. Then we have Behemoth, the latest film directed by Tony Gilroy. He hasn't directed a movie in a long-ass time. And it's starring Pedro Pascal. I'm really excited about it. Director of Michael Clayton. Come on. So it might be good. Seeing it October 2nd for this. This is the centerpiece film of the festival. It's also the world premiere. And then we're getting the world premiere of 14th, the documentary sequel to Ava DuVernay's 13th, which came out on Netflix 10 years ago, which is about the 13th Amendment. This one is about the 14th Amendment. It is going to be awesome. Ava DuVernay is one of our GOATs. I talked about it on the last stream. She's incredible. If you haven't seen When They See Us, you're missing out. Truly a great miniseries. She's great. There are a lot of really cool filmmakers that you might not have heard of that have films here that will definitely be on my radar, and I will probably like glaze them so hard in a couple of months. We got a new Hamaguchi. He makes really good movies. This movie's over 3 hours. Oh my god, this guy is allergic to a short movie. Oh my god. He did Drive My Car, and that movie is 3 hours, and it's compelling. It's so compelling. I had a bladder full of piss in my body, and I had to pee. And there was a scene that was so compelling in it. My bladder, I held it for the whole 3 hours. It was insane. No Fjord, which is insane. Oh shit! You're right. You're right. Usually the Cannes winner is always at NIF. Oh, I'm actually tweaking. But this lineup is so good. That's what's annoying about it. Whatever. Anyway, we got new Pedro Almodovar, my king. He's so prolific. As you can see, just from the screenshot, like his films are so colorful. I'm very excited about this. A Christmas movie. The picture better? It's better that way. Okay. And we've just got some, like, even if you just like the fun about the New York Film Festival is that you'll like watch movies from filmmakers you never heard of, but some of the images are just so compelling. You're like, yeah, I'll try it. Like this. I don't even know what this is about, but I might watch it. Senegal always hits. Usually, these filmmakers from Senegal, like they make movies like they're fucking hungry. You know, new Hong Sang-soo. New Radu Jude, he made one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. What is it called? Bad Luck Banging or Loony Porn. I think that's what it's called. Truly one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. But we also have some things in here. New Pavel Pawlikowski starring Sandra Hüller. Hello. What else? There's some, new Ira Sachs starring Rami Malek. New Andrew Haig. Hello. Come on. And then there's some other stuff. We got the new Chris Rock movie. Chris Rock made his way to New York Film Festival. I'm excited about this. If he's at the New York Film Festival, this movie has to be good, right? There's no way that it's bad. I mean, they played bad movies at this festival. I've endured it, but I don't know. But there's one thing. So Hong Sang-soo has 2 films here. He's crazy. Anyway, there's one specific. Sandra Hüller's here twice. Another Mike Lee. Another Léa Seydoux performance. Hello, I'm there. This is the big kahuna. Godzilla -0. I need it. I need it so bad. I want to see this so bad. I'm going to try my hardest to get tickets for this. I have my passes, right? I have the opening night and the closing night pass for the festival. So I'm not the VIP. I almost thought about dropping $1,200 on this. I almost thought about it. I was like, no. I can't do that. That's crazy. That's crazy town. Maybe next year. But it would have made it easier to get a ticket to this. Because if this motherfucker is sold out before the pass holders are able to watch this movie or able to get tickets for this, I'm going to genuinely freak out. New York Film Festival tickets is a fucking nightmare as someone who has a pass. They can be. I think the worst part about it is that you cannot pick your seats. If you're watching a movie in Alice Tully Hall, you have to like just see what seat they gave you and then try to take it back and try to go back in to see if they give you a better seat. That's honestly the worst part about this festival is that, and I guess like how expensive it is, but like when I'm here, I'm chilling. Like I love this place. But yeah, so I really, really, really want to see this. They haven't announced all this other stuff, which is fine. But there is, okay, so last year they did a secret screening and it was of Marty Supreme and they apparently like promoted it and I didn't see it because they didn't do a good job enough of promoting it. And I was so mad that I missed it because they hadn't done a secret screening since Uncut Gems for the world premiere of Uncut Gems. And I got to watch the world premiere of Uncut Gems. And I completely missed this because they didn't market it and it made me so mad because I had just watched a movie that I hated and I walked out and I went on the Film at Lincoln Center's Instagram and I saw that Timothée Chalamet had just walked on stage. I'm like, what is he doing there? And then the next slide was like, oh, Marty Supreme. And I was like, oh, you motherfuckers. I missed it. I was so mad. Marty Supreme at Alice Tully Hall must have been like crack. I think so too, because that first audience in that theater, they are with it. Like every joke lands, every dramatic beat lands. Like it's awesome. This place is great, but this is my number one priority over any, like this slate is good, right? I'm here for it. The opening, centerpiece, and closing night bangers. The last couple of years, I haven't been like super enthusiastic about one of them going into it. But this year, I'm excited about Paper Tiger. I'm excited about Behemoth. I'm excited about 14th. I'm excited about like some of the returning filmmakers that I really like. And I'm going to see movies from filmmakers I've never fucking heard of that are going to blow me away. And I'm really excited about that. So, anyway, all of that to say, the summer has been pretty good, but it's going to get better. Thanks to my king. Anyway, I think that's all I have for now. I might do another stream soon, but I should probably like make a proper video. You know, I haven't made a proper video in a while, so I'm going to do that because it's been a while. Same director as Burning. I haven't seen Burning. I haven't done that. I'm going to though. I will at some point. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm wearing my Film at Lincoln Center shirt. The Film Society, the way it used to be back in the day. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think I need to make a video soon. It's been a while since I've made a video, so I'm probably gonna focus on that for a bit and then do like another stream. Maybe for Resident Evil. I think something like that. I want to do these enough that I get better and better at them. And it's also just fun just yapping. It's more fun than doing like a tedious quick review of stuff. So yeah, that's about it. The stream ended up, I wanted it to be under 2 hours, and look at me. It's the same length as the last stream. It's what it is. I think Club Kid might sneak into the New York Film Festival slate. What is that? I'm going to look that up right now. You don't have to type. Club Kid. I think I know what it is. 2026. Oh, yes. I've heard about this film. Yeah, this got a lot of good reviews. I remember when it premiered, there was a lot of hype behind it. So, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. But, yeah. Anyway, I hope you had a good time. We will do another one soon. Again, probably for Resident Evil in September, unless there is a big release in August that I'm overlooking. But yeah, that's it. Have a good night. I'll see you later. Yeah, Spider-Man. Brand new day. Pretty good. Bye-bye.